Hello everyone, welcome back to Language Lab. Today we are diving into a fundamental part of English grammar, which is verb. Whether you are learning English or just brushing up on your grammar skills, understanding verbs and their types is essential. So let's get started. First, at the end of this video, you will be able to identify the importance of verb in parts of speech, identify the verb in a sentence, classify the types of verbs, and usage of verbs in writing and speaking. First things first, what exactly is a verb? A verb is a word that describes an action, state, or occurrence. It's one of the most important parts of speech because it tells us what the subject of a sentence is doing or experiencing. Examples: run, sing, think, be. Sentence: she runs every morning. Here the word runs is a verb. We can classify verbs into various types. They are action verbs, auxiliary verbs or helping verbs, modal verbs, transitive and intransitive verbs, regular and irregular verbs. Action verbs express physical or mental actions. They tell us what the subject of the sentence is doing. Examples: she eats an apple. John thinks about his future. Here, eats and thinks are action verbs. Both these words talk about a subject, what the subject is doing. The next type of verbs is auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs, also known as helping verbs. They are used together with the main verb to express tense, mood, or voice. The most common auxiliary verbs are be form verbs, do form verbs, and have forms. Examples: she is running. They have finished their homework. Here, is and have are auxiliary verbs. Primary auxiliary verbs are be form, do form, and have form. Be form verbs are am, is, are, was, were, being, been. Be form used to form continuous tense and the passive voice. Example: she is walking, which is present continuous. Have forms are has, have, had, and have. They are used to form perfect tense, a present perfect tense or past perfect tense. Example: they have finished their homework, they have eaten, she had gone. And do forms does, do, or did. They are used to form questions, negatives, and emphatic expressions. Example: do you like ice cream? It's a question. She does not know refers negative sentence. I do not like ice cream. Emphasize. Modal verbs. Modal verbs are a type of auxiliary verb that expresses necessity, possibility, permission, or ability. Examples: she can swim. You must finish your work. Here are some examples for modal verbs. Can and could. Express ability or possibility. Can is used for present or future ability, while could is used for past ability or polite request. May or might. Express permission or possibility. May is more formal for permission, while might indicates a weaker possibility. Must. It indicates necessity or strong obligation. Shall and should. Shall is often used for offers or suggestions, while should indicates advice or recommendation. Will, would, ought to, need, and dare. Will is used for future intentions or predictions, while would is the past form of will and is used in conditional sentences or polite requests. Example for will: I will call you tomorrow. An example for would you like some tea? Would you please pass the salt? These are examples for will and would. Ought to. It suggests a moral obligation or strong recommendation. Example: you ought to apologize for being late. And need and dare sometimes function as modal verbs when they are used without to. Example: need not, dare not. They imply necessity or a challenge to courage. Transitive verbs or action verbs that require a direct object to receive the action. The direct object answers the question what or who after the verb. Without a direct object, the sentence would be incomplete or lack necessary information. Examples: transitive: she reads a book. Reads is transitive because it has a direct object, book. Example for intransitive: he sleeps. Sleeps is intransitive because there is no direct object. Examples for transitive: make. She made a cake. What did she make? A cake. So we get object as an answer. Buy. He bought a car. Here he is subject. Bought is a verb, a transitive verb. A car is an object. What did he buy? A car. An example: sent. He sent a message. What did she send? A message. Examples for intransitive verbs: disappear. The magician disappeared. Here, intransitive verbs will not take any objects. Grow. The flowers grew quickly. Work. She works hard. You should remember that transitive verbs require a direct object to receive the action. The action of the verb is transformed to the object. Whereas in intransitive verbs, it do not require a direct object. The action of the verb does not transfer to an object. It stays with the subject. Next, now we are going to see regular and irregular verbs. Regular and irregular verbs are two categories of verbs in English based on how they form their past tense and past participle forms. Let's look at each type in detail. Regular verbs follow a predictable pattern when changing from the base form to past tense or past participle form, usually by adding ed. Irregular verbs, however, do not follow a set pattern and must be memorized. Examples: regular verb: walk is the base form of verb. It becomes walked when we add ed. Irregular: go becomes went. The rules and examples for regular verbs. The base form of verb walk becomes walked when we add ed. So we get past tense walked and past participle also walked. Let's say another example: jump. When we add ed with jump, we get past tense jumped and past participles also jumped. So there are some basic rules for regular verbs. If the verb ends in e, add ed. For example, this live, live, ends with e and that becomes lived. If the verb ends in a consonant sound y, change the y to I and add ed. Example: cry becomes cried. If the verb is a one-syllable verb ending in a consonant vowel consonant, double the final consonant and add ed. So stop, the word ends with consonant and you have to double it, pp, and add ed. Irregular verbs example: the base form verb go becomes Went in past tense and past participle gone. Another example, eat becomes ate and eaten. Regular verbs form their past tense and past participle by adding ed or d to the base form. They follow consistent spelling rules, whereas irregular verbs do not follow a set pattern. The past tense and past participle forms are unique to each word and must be memorized. Thank you for watching.